With two new ban lists released, people are wondering, what should I play in V? Am I interested in losing? How about you lose with style? It's Metalborg time. Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Mr. here. Today we are back to cover the deck that should not be a deck but somehow became a deck when they printed the wrong starter. It's Metalborg. So Metalborg in V series started in VBTO 8 when they printed the wrong starter, and now we are into this very deep hole where they just keep giving Metalborg support. It's like Kidani maybe enjoys this deck too much. Like, why not just make the next V call all Metalborg? I don't know. So anyways, today we're going to be covering Metalborg as long as the new cards they've gotten in 2022. From completely different sets. One's not even a set, you had to straight up rob your shop owner to get one, and the other one is from V-Call, which is Miss Ghost, who has the most confusing skill in V. So today we're going to be breaking down the whole deck, so do stick around for that. And if you want to see the previous Metalborg, that means Metalborg in 2021 and prior, you can check the link in the description below for the old deck profile, but this one is purely for 2022. So if you're not prepared to throw a few hands at VMC and get a free PR, or if you're just not prepared to buy boxes for this 200 yen card, then yeah, you won't be able to play this one, and you should probably check out the old one. If not, the more updated deck profile is actually a lot better because this guy actually ties up the deck pretty well. I mean, it's an in-team searcher. What a surprise. And Larnetta is basically an in-team version of Kaiser. So really, it brings together the deck in a very weird direction. It's like they don't want you to play Ziken Robo anymore, but at the same time, they don't really know what to do, so we have this very confusing mess. Anyways, let's get right into it. Our grade 3s, we have 4 copies of Sinbuster, 4 copies of the Ultra Stable Black, 1 copy of Disaurus, and our Heal Guard is our Heal Guard. So I think honestly it hasn't changed at all since the last video, I think, and frankly it shouldn't because nothing has been added to this department. So what is this all about? So I'm going to cover the Heal Guards first. This is DP, so you should be playing Heal Guards. If you're not playing Heal Guards in DP, you are not playing Dimension Police. Just remember that. Of course, here's another card that you should be playing in all your decks. It is Black. You counterblast 1. Once per turn, your whole front row gains 10. So it's a net 30k plus for just 1 counterblast. So effective. And then about these unique attacks, you look at the top 7 cards of your deck, add a grade 3 from among them to your hand. This counts for your Heal Guards, by the way. This counts. But then after that, you can discard 2 cards from your hand to write a grade 3 that's not black from your hand as stand. It gets 10k and drive -1. So you effectively go minus, let's see, you add 1, then you go -3 for the extra attack, which is really bad. But you know, in DP, the goal is just to use your large numbers to smash the opponent's teeth in, and that's how it works. Black is really the stronger version of what they were trying to do for the last 4 years in V. You know, they had Jedi, they had Dyliner, but that was really all quite luck reliant, and then there's Black and whatnot. So when you give the attacks, you have 4 over attacks minimum, and with this deck, because it's Black. With Sinbuster, you have 5 because you can Legion during the battle phase. We'll get to that later. So honestly, this is another card you should be playing in all of your DP decks. If it got reprinted, so you can't really say I can afford it because it's not that bad. But I do understand that this was reprinted in the first wave, so it's been over a year now. So its price has probably shot up, out of stock again. So yeah, I'll just have to wait till V-Call, I don't know, 9, 10. Hopefully this gets reprinted because it needs to get reprinted. It's too good. Or maybe a black cross, right? Black deck profile. And then next up we have the main star of the show. It's Sinbuster. People will not recognize this card unless you were either A, around during the World Championship round of 2014 and you saw Daikaiser Black for the first time. You were like, ooh, this is amazing. Or you were around as a kid watching the anime and you laughed at all the testicle jokes they made in 2014. If you don't remember any of these, good job. You don't know Legion mate. So his first skill is when placed on a Vanguard circle, you search your deck for Earthbuster and call it. That's it. That's it. You just call Earthbuster. Now Earthbuster himself has an on-play skill which is nice and all that, but after that they just become vanilla. Earthbuster at the end of the turn turns into a vanilla. This guy also doesn't really do much because his other skill is literally just counterblast 1, he gains 10k, and your opponent cannot guard his attack with grade 1 or greater cards. Now this would be amazing if we were back in 2014, but you see, I went up I went up to the HQ and I called them, and they told me that Sentinels are now grade 0. So I'm not sure who exactly they're trying to stop. Yes, it is true that with the nature of DP now, as well as stuff like Black and all the other stuff you'll see in the grade 2 lineup especially, you can really snowball the numbers to out of hand and just completely destroy the opponent, which is good. But then you realize that PGs exist, so if your opponent just happens to hold his PG or is holding just enough grade 0s, you essentially do nothing. So there's a reason why this is a cheaper dimensional robo deck. It's because of this. We are really overusing the first skill to get that in-team multi-attack, especially with Black. That's the entire combo of this deck. That's the entire bread and butter. It does not deviate from this. And therein lies the second problem, which is true. You can actually run out of this guy in your deck because he's just a grade 2 vanilla. You can actually run out of Earthbusters in the deck. So keep in mind that you actually need as many copies of him in the deck stack as possible. And that becomes very important when you see our in-team searcher. You may be tempted to actually search out your Buster. Don't do it. It's wrong. If you do it, you need to make sure you still have enough. So just keep this all in mind as we go through the rest of the video. It gets simpler from here. Last but not least, we have Diosaurus. Diosaurus is he's a card from the Die Liner set. He's still a really good card. His skill is that on the Vanguard Circle, he gains 5k for every card in the damage zone. What a great skill. I still remember him from my Die Liner days. Second skill is, at the end of the battle unit attacks, if your Vanguard's power is 35 or higher, you can't blast 1, move into the soul. Your Vanguard gains 10 and an extra drive. Wonderful. It's just a simple card altogether. He's one of the best generic Zigen Robos, so I do recommend you play him. But it seems very off-theme. Why is he here? Why are we playing this card in Mailbox? It's because traditionally in this one spot for most or if not all Zigen Robo or Dimensional Police decks, you are always playing Die Arm. Unfortunately, given the nature of Mailbox and how aggressive they are, you don't really ever give your opponent a chance to have 10 cards in hand. It's not like the other decks where you could lapse a bit and then you just pile their face in with a plus 30k to the front row. No, you don't actually have that. So we play a more leaner and more easier option to actually pop off rather than playing a Die Arm who is very unlikely to actually trigger in this deck. Our grade 2 lineup, we play 4 copies of the Legion Mate, which is a Buster. We play 4 copies of Metalborg Lionetta, and then we play 4 copies of Kaiser, Dimensional Robo Kaiser. So let's actually break it down real quick. A Buster is the fabled Legion Mate of Sin Buster. Very simple skill. When placed, you Soul Blast 1. If your Vanguard's Metalborg, he gains 10. Choose from your opponent's rear guards and retire. Nice Knight, Knights plus 10. It's wonderful. On the turn 2, it does wonders. It's a 20k beater. Any other turn he appears on, it's a nice beater. It's a nice spot removal. You don't really have spot removal anywhere else in his deck, so you can use this guy to really snipe off pesky things, especially in V-Meta. You have stuff like, your the mains or whatever that you're afraid of in early game. You can just snipe them off and it's no longer a problem. But like I said, you need this card very much for your turn 4, turn 3 plays. So you need to actually know when you use your Herb Buster. If you happen to draw a stray copy of him on turn 2 or whatever, you can potentially use it, but in any other case, you need to be aware of when. Do also note that there are 2 contenders for soul usage in this deck. One being this guy and the other being, again, Miss Ghost. So make sure you actually know when to use your soul because you have no methods of soul generation in this deck. Next up, I'm going to talk about Kaizad first, since everyone knows about Kaizad. Kaizad, when a grade 3 rides on top of him, you can discard a card from your hand and you will gain an imaginary gift force to your Vanguard Circle. Yeah, it's nice as a turn 2 going up into a turn 3 play. There is really nothing wrong with this guy. Super generic, super nice. Second skill is, if you have a force marker on your Vanguard Circle, this unit gains 10. This is when it's on rear guard. If you have 3 or more, he gains another 10. So he becomes 30k as long as you have 3 force, and 1 force, he's already 20k. So he is in more cases than not better than your Die Dragon, but he's a bit slower because even if you pop off gaining 2 force markers by, by say turn 3, and then you ride another one, that's turn 4 for him to actually gain his full power of 20,000 power, which is a bit slow, but it's fine considering if you know how VDP has been like. Your Die Dragons usually only exceed this power level in around turn 4 when you're prepping for your great great Dayusha play, but we're not doing it anymore. It's too expensive. Do you have a spare 5,000 yen for me? I don't know. Next up we have is Lionetta. Lionetta is our promo card, so make sure you actually see humans for the first time and pick this up at your store unless you somehow have a black market. When this card is rolled upon by Metalborg, you can discard a card from your hand to call him to a rearguard circle, and then you can add a force marker to your vanguard. Wow, the Alfred Early I've been looking for. But it doesn't stop there. He gains an additional 5,000 power for each force marker on your vanguard circle. That's impressive, by the way. It's literally a 20k beater on turn 3. He gains force, he calls himself. I mean, what else do you want? It's what I don't want. This guy only works with a Metalborg vanguard. It does not proc if you were going into the best generic of DP, which is black. It is literally vanilla. But if you have Kaizad, for example, it can work for either. So why are we still playing this guy? First of all, he's a Metalborg. Metalborgs are valuable because we are building a deck around Metalborgs. You don't play an Eradicator deck with no Eradicators. So you have to play this guy, but he's also really good because he's still a good power gainer and he's a good right target if you are going into Sinbuster. So you can actually make sure that the turn before, you already plan to ride Sinbuster, and then you can actually use this pretty well. If you're going into Kaizad, you either A, don't know what you're riding into, or B, you've already made plans to ride into black. So knowing your own turn 2 into turn 3 plays is very important with this deck. It's why I wanted to review Kaizad first, then Lionetta, because you notice the similarities run too deep. It's literally 8 copies of the same card with different nuances, but ultimately I still think Lionetta is better than Kaizad because he still calls himself out and gains 5 for every force. Which means if you have 2 force markers, he gains 10. This guy, I mean, if you have 2 force markers, he still stays at a 10 too. So really, there's no difference. Only the 3rd force marker, he becomes bigger. He just stays at 15. But no matter what, I mean, he called himself out for free. You have to call this from your hand, you know. You think about it. Which one is better? Our grade 1 lineup, we play, it's a very standard one, trust me. 4 copies of Twin Order. 4 copies of Grand Road. 4 copies of Miss Ghost. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why am I still reviewing this deck? We know the rest of this deck. I know you know the rest of this deck. I don't. Great Tree Searcher, I mean, I don't have to say anything anymore. I don't. We also play Twin Order, who is the world's greatest generic. He started off as the promo that started the era of having 6,000 yen promos, but now he's only 200 yen. But now he's sold out as well. So if you can't find him, that's a huge problem. But if you can, please buy him. He's very good. I promise you, he's very good. Plus 50k to the Vanguard is absolutely worth skipping a few meals next week. And of course, we have Miss Ghost. He is one of the new cards from VCall. He's DP VCall this wave has been an absolute mess, which is why you will not see a reverse Dayusha deck profile. You will not see a Nickman Storm deck profile unless I become, someone puts a gun to my head and tells me how to do it, then I would consider. I'm not going to do it. So, Miss Ghost, when placed on the Vanguard or Rearguard circle, you look at the top 5 cards of your deck for any Metalborg that you wish, including himself, he counts. And then you can add it to your hand. If he's called to the Rearguard circle, you have to discard one if you wish to add. So on the Vanguard circle, he's a free +1 for a selected Metalborg. On the Rearguard circle, he still helps you search a Metalborg. And since you plan to do the whole black thing, you're gonna need to look for your Sinbusters. Great Tree Searchers don't always do it for you. So I mean, it's appreciated. Another searcher is appreciated, but it gets kind of better. His Rearguard skill is when your Great Tree Vanguard is placed, you can pay the cost of Soul Blast 1, and your Vanguard gets count all of your units on the Vanguard circle gain 5,000 power. I'm not going to spend another half an hour talking about Metalborg Premium and why you should be buying your copies of Dryon to Legion into your very strong and very dangerous promo, and why we should be very afraid of the Metalborg strikes. I'm not going to do that. So I don't know why they chose to print the text all of your Vanguards as if we are really back in 2015. I don't. But we're going to read it at face value for V-Series. It essentially is just this unit gains 5,000 power. That's it. It's kind of a different timed form of die brave, if you're familiar with die brave. So it is nice, I guess. So I won't really complain. However, this is the Soul Blast usage you use the least because your priority is usually Earthbuster. Earthbuster just kind of gives you more mileage for your soul. So use Miss Ghost only if you're confident the 5k can be close the game or hop over a defensive. But if not, you would always save your soul for your Earthbuster. Last but not least, our grade zeros. Our grade zeros are really simple. We play 8 critical, 4 draw, and of course our black boy. So I don't have to explain the rest of this deck anymore. It built itself. We are playing the Metalborg starter for pure intimidation. I really love Goyusha as a starter, but we need to stick on theme. And look, he's so adorable. I know there's an SP of him, I know. And then of course 8 crit for draw. You intend to aim to kill him as fast as possible. But we play draws because this is still a very piece-reliant deck. As you can probably tell, Metalborgs don't flow as well as Deegan Robos, or even Zeal for that matter. So you definitely do need to carry your draw PGs. If you wish to play 12 crit, you can, but don't blame me when you just don't have a board to use with. You are going to need to play draw PGs, even to live till turn 4 to do this exactly. You need to. And yeah, that wraps up the deck profile for this deck. It's very simple. Nothing major has changed. It's really just adding in the new cards and playing around with the ratios. As you can tell, this deck is really the most interesting mess of all time. Half of it is made of complete ultra staples for DP, which you cannot play without. If not, you should be changing clan. The other half is just Metalborgs. So is this a worthy investment? I would say yes, if you're interested in actually one, playing Metalborgs, or two, just playing DP in general, because this deck is the most of the cost of this deck comes from your ultra staples. The Metalborgs themselves are very affordable. Don't be intimidated by when I said, you have to meet people for the first time to pick up a promo. This card is really not expensive. It's about maximum 200 yen, so you have no fear. Miss Ghost himself is honestly at max 300 yen each. They are very, very affordable. This deck overall is not bad as long as you can already enjoy using DP staples. It just comes together. So if you are quite sick of Deegan Robos and you are not interested in losing with your Enigmans, then I say it's time. Grab some balls. Let's do. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all next time. As you know, we are approaching the end of VCall season because all good things must come to an end and Overdress must start again. So if you are still interested in seeing VCall deck profiles that I have strangely not covered yet or I cannot afford, please let me know in the comment section below. I will consider it. If not, I'll see you all next time with what is the mechanic called now? Cross dress? No. What's the new Varina one? I forgot. What was it called? Oh, what? Will dress. So can I will not dress? Can I not wear clothes?
Underdress.
Underdress. Okay. See you all next time.